We continue our story with the hunt for the second fossil. Shockwave and Soundwave, obviously the most dangerous and go-to duo of all time because let's be for real, I wouldn't want to fight that. I wouldn't even want to look in their direction. But everything kind of goes the same here. But here's the thing I'm going to change. Shockwave had no reason to struggle with Bumblebee and Smokescreen. I don't care what it was. Whether it was a physical match for the fossil or Shockwave didn't want to break it, he's physically stronger than them. This man can manhandle Bulkhead, Wheeljack, RC, and Bumblebee at the same time. Smokescreen and Bumblebee shouldn't even be able to handle that one arm. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have him completely overpower him, and then he's about to shoot them with the cannon, but Smokescreen tackles Bumblebee off with the phase shifter, and that pretty much gets him out of the blast entirely. Meanwhile, Optimus is busy fighting against Soundwave in the air, having an aerial dog battle. We already know how that goes, and that kind of just plays out like it does in canon. However, this is where the timeline does change significantly. With more Autobots, obviously with the Dinobots there, along with Ultra Magnus, this does change everything a bit. And so we're going to have one thing very early. Shockwave versus Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus comes in and actually begins to fight against Shockwave one-on-one, beating him up, and well, does the same way as in the original, but probably quicker with Bumblebee and Smokescreen, and they all hold Shockwave at blaster point, telling him now would be a very good time to surrender. However, as Space Bridge opens and a dark energy blast comes through, it's Megatron with the Dark Starsaber. Legendary, why would you do this? Okay, let me explain something to y'all. What's one thing we always been sick of in Transformers Prime? Megatron not doing anything and letting everyone else do the work. He knows they're on a losing end here. Why are you not participating yourself? And then he had the Dark Starsaber still the whole time? Yeah, he's definitely going to use that. So, believe it or not, Megatron uses the Dark Starsaber smartly here, or more smarter here. As Smokescreen tries to run at him with the phase shifter so that he can knock away the attack, this is where Megatron just utilizes the Dark Starsaber, to target the ground. And simply put, he states that considering the phase shifter still keeps you attached to the ground, there has to be something tethering you there. And this knocks Smokescreen completely off balance, and so does with Bumblebee and Ultra Magnus. Optimus Prime, seeing this, whips around and tries to shoot his miniguns. However, Soundwave opens a space bridge around in front of Optimus, then one behind Optimus, causing his own blast to come back on him and hit him. I think this would actually be a really good trick for Soundwave to do, and it just makes so much sense. So Smokescreen, now seeing that, Optimus is in trouble, actually rushes to help him. Keep in mind, Ultra Magnus and Bumblebee are both kind of like out of commission at the moment, or at least, just trying to get their bearings. And Megatron, seeing this, says, a rookie mistake. And this is where we hear a charge. It's nothing but his fusion cannon. And he fires it right in the back of Smokescreen. Keep in mind, Smokescreen forgot to activate the phase shifter yet again. And this goes right through his back and out through his chest, killing him. The Autobots look in absolute disbelief as Soundwave and Shockwave both go to Megatron's side with a fully intact fossil. And Megatron adds insult to injury. Perhaps you should have allowed your real soldiers to be here today, Optimus. I'm sure they wouldn't allow a casualty on their end. And Megatron leaves through the space bridge. We then pick up in the jungle, where the third fossil is pretty much going smoothly, with Wheeljack, Snarl, and Sludge actually locating it. However, Starscream's there, and he's like, Autobots, or Autobots and Dinobots. How good to see you. To which Snarl was like, ha! It's only Starscream. What damage could he do? We could easily just rip him apart and just be done with this, can't we? However, Starscream laughs, actually getting Sludge and Star to look at each other, then look at him like, what he on about? And Starscream's like, oh, my dear Dinobots, I have something special for you. And this is where he puts on the Apex armor. Keep in mind, they still had it, so it makes perfect sense that Decepticons would actually be using the relics a lot more in this timeline because, again, they are outnumbered and simply outmuscled. And this is where Sludge is like, you just had to open your big Stegosaurian mouth. To which Snarl transforms into a Stegosaur form and is like, okay, in fairness, the Autobots did not tell them they had relics like this. Albeit, shouldn't really matter, should it? And this is where Sludge transforms into his form, and he's like, no, shouldn't matter. But next time, don't encourage the enemy or jinx us next time. So, believe it or not, the Dinobots are actually capable of holding all Starscream in the Apex armor because of their, well, enhanced physical strength. This allows Wheeljack to actually sneak around and straight up snatch the fossil, because remember, Starscream can't really fire his missiles in that form. However, as they pretty much retreat, Starscream takes a moment to realize something. The Apex armor is scratched up and dented, and he's like, dear God, those Dinobots are just something else entirely. But this is where we pan over to the final fossil hunt, with Bulkhead, Slug, and Swoop trying to get the last fossil. However, the majority of the Insecticon horde is here. And Bulkhead is like, it's simply too many of them, and maybe we could honestly just not get the fossil here, or maybe we could just blow them all up. To which Slug says, you know what? I'm glad you actually said that, because we actually did try something like this before. Swoop, if you don't mind, my friend. And this is where Swoop pulls out a device, and well, they all take a step back as the Insecticons come at them and then blow up the area that they're in, with it actually being comedic as well. So everyone returns back to the Autobot base, or Autobot Hangar E, right? And well, keep in mind, Grimlock and RC were also there along with Ratchet, and they've all now seen Smokescreen's body. So every other Autobot comes in now, and they see him. His entire body just blown through the back. No diddy. But now it's just morning, and people giving their thoughts, minus the Dinobots, because again, they barely know Smokescreen. And this is where Optimus simply states, they will get justice, or we will get justice for our comrade. However, this is where he hears a scoff, and it's from Grimlock. So you're still holding on to those beliefs, huh? So you're just gonna, capture Megatron and, give him a trial? To which Optimus simply states, if that is what it takes to win the war, then yes, Megatron can get a fair trial. He is deserving of mercy. To which Grimlock and the Dinobots laugh, with Optimus stating, or with Grimlock simply stating, you still have that soft-hearted nonsense, don't you? Megatron's not deserving of mercy. He's not deserving of any form of fair trial. To which RC thinks to herself, and she's like, you know what? I'm not really going to say anything. He's actually cooking right now. And so this is where Slug simply interjects. Last time I checked, you had many Autobots who came here with you, right? Whatever happened to Cliffjumper, huh? Oh, he's dead. Huh. So I'm wondering, did you guys get payback on the con that did it? To which Ratchet simply states, no, because vengeance is not the way of the Autobots. To which he looks at Ratchet like, really, medic? Then tell me one time Optimus has even tried to take it on, or try to take that vengeance. To which Ratchet actually recalls Optimus fighting Megatron. But as he gives the details, Grimlock simply states, so you tried to do it our way, and you couldn't get the job done. You hesitated. You monologued even. And yet, you still couldn't get it, Prime. And Optimus simply states, that's enough, Grimlock. I will not be prattled, or not hear your name prattle. To which Grimlock simply walks up to him. And keep in mind, he is slightly taller than Optimus here. But again, they're around the same bulk and mass. To which Grimlock says, why? What you gonna do about it, huh? You gonna fight me? Like you could have did Megatron? Go ahead, Prime. Swing. To which Optimus clenches his fist, and Grimlock simply stands there, ready, emboldened by it. And he simply states, that's what I thought, Prime. Always the reserved one, never the one to take the risks. Always the thinker or the big picture person, right? But you never focus on what's in front of you. So this is where Optimus is about to speak up and say something, but Ultra Magnus intervenes. And he simply states, look, I understand where you're coming from. But right now we have to remember, Optimus is still the leader of the Autobots. To which while Grimlock respects Magnus, because again, they do have a bond here from the comics, Grimlock simply states, yeah, and where's that gotten us so far? He could have listened to us. He could have listened to Jazz even. When he asked him to just use Metroplex to carry all that energon. Maybe the Titan would have been here. And this is where the Dinobots leave, and RC simply thinks to herself, and then she walks out with them. And this actually does leave the Autobots shocked a little bit. But this is where Ultra Magnus simply explains that, if he remembers correctly, RC did have two partners, one with Tailgate and one with Cliffjumper. And she simply sympathizes with the Dinobots' thinking, knowing good and well she could have had her vengeance. And so this is where the Dinobots realize RC is following them. And Grimlock turns around. And considering they are a bit cooler with each other here, he asks her, what do you want? And RC states, I heard what you said, and I agree with it. But I want your help with something. Something I know good and well that the other Autobots wouldn't do. And Grimlock looks at her curiously, but he leans in closer and asks her, what's that? What could you possibly want that could agree with our motives? To which RC simply explains, I want you to help me get Arachnid and Starscream and help me kill them both. Not just for Tailgate, but for Cliffjumper as well. And this is not where we end off, though. We would pan over to Shockwave's laboratory, where finally, working on Project Predacon. The one fossil is really all he needed, but they had to find a way to get the Autobots scattered, right? And believe it or not, this is actually Project Predacon. However, as Megatron walks down, he looks at them, knowing good and well he needs something stronger to control them. And he simply asks something, but Shockwave feels like he knows what it is. Shockwave, do you think there is a way to ultimately cement our rule over these Predacons? To which Shockwave gives him a look and simply states, Megatron, if I may ask, what is the logical reason you would want this done? To which Megatron simply walks to one of the Predacon pods and looks at them. I've learned my lesson about being complacent in this war. You see, here on Earth, I once fought Optimus and almost lost my life because I was too overconfident in myself and my abilities, and yet I got bailed out by Dark Energon. Then now these Dinobots, true power displayed by their leader, and I admittedly could have been killed by him. But not just that. The fact that they were always trouble on Cybertron. We couldn't even get into Iacon without ambushing them. And now, while yes, you did create them like this, they are now one of the strongest creatures in the universe. And with their teamwork, we're able to take down our Predacon. So, Shockwave, I would actually have to say that I've simply learned from my mistakes. I've learned my lesson. And what I really need now is power. Can you do that for me? To which Shockwave sees the logical reasoning in this thinking. And let me know what you guys think about this down below. But Shockwave simply states, it will be done, Lord Megatron, but it will take some time. In Earth hours, it would definitely be a week at the most. To which Starscream's like, a week? So, does that leave me in charge of the Decepticons for a while? To which Megatron is like, yes, Starscream, do what needs to be done. Get reinforcements, improve our troops, and be sure to thwart the Autobots' efforts. To which Starscream is like, oh, I do have some ideas on how this could work. I'll put out a call for him very, very soon. And that's where we're going to leave it off here, guys. Who is Starscream going to call? What do you guys think about this? What's going to happen to Megatron? What is Starscream, or who is Starscream going to call? And what do you guys think of Grimlock and RC's deal? Is it going to break the Autobots further, or is it going to make them stronger? Peace.